How you doing? And welcome back to Taekwondo, bro. Today we're doing some elbows and different techniques you can use while doing them. So the first one we're going to be doing is a back fist into an elbow. So what's great about this combination is that the back fist, you can smack your opponent in the face, right? And then your hand's already there, so you can grab onto their head and then hit an elbow. So you'll be hitting their head into your elbow. Or you can also just hit them and then go into an elbow without holding onto their head. It's a great combination for closing distance, and this is really going to have a lot of offensive power. So if you're using this in self-defense, it's a great way to knock somebody off. Elbows are super strong, among the strongest techniques you can do with your hand, just because how hard the bone is, right? So smack the back fist, which is a really fast technique. It's kind of like a jab, and then you go in for the elbow. Now, I'd be doing this a little bit faster, but the punching bag I'm using is a little floppy, so I gotta slow down so it doesn't bounce away from me, right? Now, watch my footwork. I'm dashing in, and then I'm stepping in for the elbow. And, you can do it from as far away as you physically can dash in. So I can do a little bit further than this. I just didn't want to go out of range of the shot, so we're just showing it off here. Now, what's great about elbows, too, is that when you're hitting the hard bone of somebody's head in self-defense or something like that, the elbow is a super strong base, so you're not going to hurt it, okay? So, here we have instant side kick. I guess I'm calling this the outward elbow, okay? You could call it a backwards elbow, too. But what's happening here is it's a little different. You're not trying to really close in the range necessarily, right? You could be throwing an instant side kick, and then the opponent moves towards you, so you throw an elbow, right? That could be one way of doing it. Or you could do it the other way, where throw the elbow after your kick, and say maybe after that you would sweep them. Going in for a lot of close combat type moves here, keeping in short range. Depends on whatever you want to do. Now, naturally, this would go towards the head of the opponent, although I guess you could hit the body if you felt like it. Now, elbows you really don't use in sparring that often because they kind of hurt, and it's hard to make them not hurt, okay? So, roundhouse kick into an elbow. This is one of those more aggressive combos again. So you're throwing the kick, and then you're coming in close to the elbow. Now, if you watch carefully, right, you'll see that after I do the roundhouse kick, I'm grabbing the top of the punching bag sometimes. That's to simulate if it had a head. Or you can just use that other hand. Instead of grabbing it, you can just kind of put it up and defend your face. So it's kind of like a defensive guard, right? What's nice about this is if you want to close range on an opponent, say they got like more longer legs than you or something like that, maybe more reach, you could kick and then come in close. Maybe just like, putting the pressure on your opponent like that, because sometimes you don't want to be all at long range bouncing around all day. Now, you notice that this elbow is like the first one, right? It's the normal one. You could also go for like the downward elbow, and that's something people like to call a 12-6 elbow, but right now I guess you could call this maybe a 3-9 elbow because it's going just sideways, or 9-3 if you're facing the other direction. So here we have a 3-move combination. We have jab, cross, elbow, okay? So the jab, cross are a little bit longer range than an elbow. That's the downside of throwing an elbow, right? You lose a little bit of range. But if you're throwing the jab, cross, you could throw it defensively, right? So say they're moving in towards you, and maybe they're throwing a kick. If you dash in, kind of stuff their kick, you could go for a jab cross into an elbow. Or maybe you just want to attack with it, right off the bat there, just close enough to you. 1, 2, 3. Now, this would also be good if your opponent is backing up, because you're moving forward with each of these techniques usually, right? Because the elbow is shorter range, so you naturally have to move forward to hit them with it. So if you know your opponent's going to retreat the second you hit them, it's a great way to get them to fall into your trap, right? So you throw the jab cross, maybe they block them, maybe they only block one of them, and then you're moving in, they're moving back, you catch them with the elbow, right? Depends on how far you can move. That's why it's important to work on your footwork, make sure you're fast, you can move where you gotta go. Now, one other advantage is it's kind of like the jab cross hook, so you have the same vector, you're coming off from the side. So if your opponent has put their two hands up directly in front of their face, and you can go around it with the hook, you can also go around it with the elbow. So what they'd have to do is they'd have to split their guard and kind of put one arm up to where their head is, but because it's an elbow, it's still going to hurt. These things carry a lot of force, so definitely a very powerful move. You can implement it right, and remember, go for the head with these. So, for the last one here, front kick, rising elbow, okay? We don't see the rising elbow too much, but in Taekwondo, we used to practice, the side to side, then the up to down elbows, so we're doing the up. Now, you can use this in a couple ways. You could just throw the front kick, and then the elbow can just be a block. So you think they're throwing a hook punch or a round kick to the side of your head, you just lift up your arm, and that'll block that off the side of your head. Or you could actually try to hit them with it. So that's what I'm kind of going for here. I'm hitting the pad. So you want to be going up. So you're closing in super close. You don't want your leg to be inside your opponent's two legs because you can get swept, right? So notice how my foot goes on the outside of the punching bag here. So 1, 2. And then I guess from there, I don't know what you could do. Maybe you could clinch up. Maybe you can go around the side like that. It really depends on where your opponent's standing. But overall, the upward elbow, it could be an attack. I use it more often as a block more than anything else for two reasons. I mean, one, we usually don't spar with elbows because that's a great way to, it's a lot harder than a punch. And plus, you can put gloves in a punch to kind of take away some of the impact of it. But there's really nothing you can put on your elbows. And plus, the upward elbow is a block. Really useful, especially when your opponent likes to headhunt. You just know they're going for it. Puts you in a great position to counterattack. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below.